up, guys? Thanks for coming to the stream today. We are going to be talking about something that I made, not like a template or anything cheesy like that, but like an audio plugin. So it's very exciting. Where'd my chat go? Chat. Because I like to see what you guys, there we go. Okay, move that over there. Chat, I can see you. So let's see who we got in our chat here. We got Bill, Post Audio for Media, Alexander Edits. Sure, more people will pop in as the stream goes on a little bit. I do have my window open, so if you hear birds and stuff, or chickens, we have chickens, that's why. I just wanted to give a quick shout out to channel members. You guys are awesome. You guys have, a couple people have actually been helping me test this tool that I've built, and the member of the week is Sean, I think, because yeah, Sean has been, he was the first one to download this plugin. So thank you, Sean, for helping me test this out. So let's just kind of dive into what I did, what I made here. So this is Pro Tools. It's not the developer version of Pro Tools. This is the regular vanilla Pro Tools Ultimate. So this is what I made. This is called the DXB Channel Strip. This is a dialogue bus, DXB. You can see the bus in the background. Why did I make this and what is its purpose, kind of what it does? So normally when I work on any project with spoken word, there's kind of a order of operations that I do. So the very first thing is, and I can just set this up kind of in here. The very first thing I do is I'll have an EQ. And I've talked about this in like dialogue mixing videos. Generally, I'll have a preset. Do I have my preset here? I don't, but in my template, I have a preset saved where I've got a real gentle high pass. I've got a very gentle low pass. This kind of shape is really nice for film dialogue because it kind of smooths the subsonics and the infrasonics, like the super high frequency stuff. And with a low slope filter, you get a really nice just smoothness. It sounds more analog, basically. So this is kind of the first thing I do on my chain. Then the next thing I'll do is, I'll do noise reduction after the EQ, but I'm talking about on a bus, like a bus process. So the reason I like to do this on a bus is because, I EQ stuff line by line, but maybe there's some stuff I didn't catch or, whatever. Like this extra low slope filter just kind of helps smush things on the bus to be consistent. So then the next thing I do is I'll have a compressor. I like the Pro C2, but you can use Pro Compressor or anything else. And I like to kind of start the threshold around -16, lower ratio, like 2.5 to 1, maybe like 5 to 10 milliseconds attack. And then I'll either do, sometimes I'll do auto release, but generally like 150 to 200. This auto gain can be helpful sometimes, but generally I just listen to it and make up the gain, where it needs to make sure that the input and output levels are close. So that's the next thing in the chain. So we're already at 2 plugins, right? So now it's like, okay, well, maybe it's a little bit sibilant. Compressors in particular tend to accentuate sibilance. So I actually like to de-ess after the compressor. And so, okay, so that's probably fine. We want a split band. We can do wideband. There's all kinds of settings you can mess with here. Look ahead is on. Okay, so now that's great. I've got an EQ, compressor, de-esser, and I need to like open this up and actually make room because look how many plugins I'm adding to this chain that I've got. So I'm at 3, right? Well, if this is a bus, I don't want the output of this bus to clip. I don't want it to go into the red and go over. So a buddy of mine brought up the fact that Pro Tools uses a 32-bit mixer, but not every software uses that. and just seeing the little red clip indicator is not great. So, well, let's add a limiter now. We could do fab filter. Let's just mix up and do avid. So, all right, we got our pro limiter. We'll just set this to like -2 and -2. Okay, great. So to sit on my dialog bus here, I've got 4 tracks, or 4 plugins. That's too much. I don't think I like that. You know, that's like a lot of things to manage. And furthermore, if, let's say, and I know this is a long shot, but let's say you're a picture editor and you don't have Pro Tools and you're just mixing stuff in DaVinci Resolve and like, dude, just give me something that sounds good that I can slap on my dialog bus and has what I need to make this, you know, pop, make the dialogue stand out, compress it a little bit, do all these things. A channel strip, right? A dialogue specific channel strip. So that is what I have built here. So let's get rid of all these 4 plugins that I've had to spend, you know, $400 getting, and let's bring up the DXB Channel Strip. It looks very rudimentary. It's not fancy. It doesn't have bells and whistles. It's got settings that you can tweak, and you have to use your ears. There's no gain reduction meter. You got an input and an output, and that's it. So I really wanted to make this kind of like a dialogue playground for people to be able to adjust things and use their ears to decide if it sounds good or not. So let's take a listen. I think I'll need to, let's see, let me make sure it's not going to play out. Okay, I've got my monitors muted. I got headphones I'll put on, my Sennheiser HD280 Pros. Let me go this way so the cord doesn't hit my mic. And let's just bypass it and hear the terrible, this is recorded on an SM7B, so it's going to sound like an SM7B. Mic check, 1, 2, microphone testing. This is an audio test of the DXB Channel Strip. This is a dialogue-focused channel strip with basic EQ. Well, let's gain it up a little bit because it's a little low. This is an audio test. There we go. That's probably good. So that's gained up. Let's just go 6. Gained up 6 dB. And now we're going to bypass and we're going to listen to, I do have an SM7B preset for this. And I've got a TBDX, LA Film, and SM7B. So bypassed, and let's load the SM7B preset. So first bypass, and then I'll unbypass it. Mic check, 1, 2, microphone testing. This is an audio test of the DXB Channel Strip. This is a dialogue-focused channel strip with basic EQ, RMS compressor, de-esser, and a safety limiter chain. This is a test. Unique, New York. The quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog. Mic check, 1, 2, microphone testing. This is an audio test of the DXB Channel Strip. This is a dialogue-focused channel strip with basic EQ, RMS compressor, de-esser, and a safety limiter chain. This is a test. Unique, New York. The quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog. Mic check, 1, 2, microphone testing. This is an audio test of the DXB Channel Strip. This is a dialogue-focused channel strip with basic EQ, RMS compressor, de-esser, and a safety limiter chain. So I didn't talk, I just wanted you to kind of hear that all the parameters work. We can go through each one of these and talk about what they're doing. So I can take my headphones off. If you guys have any questions you want to hear, like, hey, what does it sound like if you do this? Just let me know. I've been testing this out in DaVinci Resolve, GarageBand, tested it in GarageBand, and then Pro Tools. And this is a build version. Like this is it's licensed through, well, not licensed. So there's a lot of steps that go into building a plugin, which I've learned this in like a week and a half. It's a lot to learn. But so when you install things, they need to be code signed, and Avid has specific code signing steps you have to go through. They're actually proprietary and like protected by NDA, so I can't talk about the details of it. But building the Pro Tools version of this was way more difficult than the VST3 and the AU component. So I wanted to, like, a lot of people that watch my channel are in Pro Tools, so they want an AAX. So it's like, that has to have that. So, okay, we'll test some of the presets in a second, but let me just talk about kind of the signal flow and what each of these things does. So what I wanted to build is something that sounded good, that's the main thing, was unclippable, and you notice I cranked the makeup gain to +20 and the output did not clip. I don't think you can clip this. I've tested it with gunshots, drums, you know, with snare cracks, with rim shots in it. I've tested it with spoken word, yelled word, like it seems to not be clippable because there's a proprietary limiter stage in here which makes it to where you can't clip the output. So that, for me, like, I wanted something that if you're mixing a film, you can use this. If you're mixing a podcast, you can use this. If you're mixing a YouTube video, which, you know, I do YouTube videos, I want something I can just slap on my bus and not worry about it, not clip it, add a little sparkle, add a little high frequency to the, you know, the dialogue, low pass it. This combination of doing the low pass down and the high frequency gain up is like really nice. It just keeps it smooth but crisp, you know? And then the high pass frequency, you can hear when I demoed this, like it's a nice, smooth, it's called a Butterworth filter, and it doesn't have any resonance, and you can just use it to make things sound like a radio spot where there's nothing below 250. You know, for podcasts or audiobooks, it's really nice to roll this up to like 150, 200. But for a film, you got James Earl Jones in there, you know, sure, 20 hertz, leave it, you know, basically bypassed. So you have this EQ section, very basic, high pass, low pass, and a high frequency gain. This is the thing that I wanted in my channel strip. I didn't want parametric, sweep the frequency and all that. I just want to boost the high end so that it cuts through the other layers. That's it. So there's that section. So this is first in the chain. Next, we have the compressor, which is actually 6 controls. So you have the threshold, and you have a ratio. And these two, if you don't know what they do, you try to set your threshold to where not everything's getting compressed. Although you can bring this all the way down to -30, crank the makeup gain, crank the ratio. This is like a crunched VO, you know, monster truck rally type of sound. But for a film, you know, like we're down here at 2 to 3, and the threshold's kind of just tickling a little bit. Makeup gain with the output limiters, you can crank this guy up and it's not going to clip. It's going to you're going to hear the limiter work, but it sounds kind of like a smoother version of the Sound Devices limiters, if you're familiar with those, like on the SD422 or the I don't know if the Scorpios use the same ones, but like the analog limiters on the Sound Devices are really nice. And so I tried to kind of model that. You do not have control over the limiters. They're locked. But makeup gain, you know, you've got 20 dB of gain here. So you can adjust the attack and release. The preset this ships with, and I'll add more presets, I think, or maybe there'll be like an add-on or something. Because I really want people to like tweak this, you know, and make the settings work for their project. But it starts with a 10 millisecond attack, 150 millisecond release, 100% wet. So that you can do parallel compression with this. You know, if you want to compress the crap out of it, but then mix in 50% wet, that's kind of cool because you bring up the low stuff, but the high stuff, you know, the yelling and stuff doesn't really get messed up as much. If you just want to use the safety limiter and the de-esser and the EQ, you can turn that all the way down. So that's a compressor section here in the middle. Then finally we have the de-esser. This is a pretty wide band dynamic de-esser. It's sort of modeled off the SA2, where it's like you can sweep the frequency down to like 4K and it just cleans up some of that bite. And you can dial in the amount and the threshold. The cool thing about the threshold, though, is, you know, 0 dB, it's basically bypassed. As you lower the threshold, the filter actually steepens. So you go from like this, you know, if the threshold is, let's say, -6, you're doing this to the S's. As you lower the threshold to like -20, it starts to do this. So if you get those whistly S's, or like somebody who has a really harsh resonance, you can use the threshold as kind of a Q filter. And having the DS amount separate means that, you know, if you just want gentle take some of the bite out, leave the threshold pretty high, and you can turn the DS amount up. But if you have a harsh resonance, like somebody who's just like in their mic, you can crank the threshold down, do a little less de-essing, and you'll get a sharper Q on that. So let's see. That's kind of the overview of what it does. The compressor, I'm really happy with. This is a kind of a unique type of compressor. It's not a true peak compressor. It's more of an RMS or average compressor. So you can really crank the settings and you'll hear it start to pump, but maybe you want that sound. Like a lot of YouTube videos where they're like, they got the thumbnail of them pointing behind them. Ah, look at that, you know? I hate those. And those guys are just like, hey, welcome to the channel. Like everything's cranked up. Go ahead, crank it, you know, crank the compressor up, bring everything to the same level. It's fine. But you want something a little more subtle, you can have it be subtle. It's not just a kind of, this is a good general purpose. And I've tested this on drums, gunshots. Haven't tested it on a full mix of a music track yet, but it's really cool. So we got some questions in the chat I'd like to answer. So let's see, we got more members in here. We got Bill, Post Audio for Media, Alex, Mike, Suat, Virgili, Italian maybe? No, hello from Izmir, Turkey. Dude, thank you for your support. James, Master Nelson says test the film DX preset. Okay, we can do that. Simon, probably a French guy. I'd really like to try this. I've got quite a few testers of this out, so I'm getting some feedback, and I'll probably make some tweaks. Okay. Does EQ allow for futzing? It does not. It's not that kind of EQ. I mean, I could probably change the... I don't know if I want people to be able to bring the high pass frequency up, you know, to like 1K. That could get me in trouble. I really wanted this focused on like rich sounding dialogue, you know? Values of the plugins delay in Pro Tools. So that is something I need to tweak a little bit. I mean, this is showing no delay, but this is a pretty hungry plugin. And so if I hit play here, we'll see kind of... Mic check, 1, 2, microphone testing. This is an audio test of the DXB Channel Strip. This is a dialogue-focused channel strip with basic EQ, RMS compressor, de-esser, and a safety limiter chain. This is a test. Unique, New York. So the usage is actually pretty high. It's like adding about 10% on my system when I play, which is significant. Like it's more significant than most of the other plugins that I use. So that is something I'm going to try to track down. But the problem is that I really like the way it sounds. So is it okay to have it be a little bit DSP hungry, you know, and use up your CPU because of the DSP and kind of the proprietary chain it uses? Because there's a few things that are different that this plugin does than other channel strips, like with the order of processes and how they happen. And I'm pretty sure that's what's creating the higher CPU usage. My thought when building this was, I don't care too much about that because I've got a pretty fast computer. Like this is really made for me. So then I was like, well, maybe I could sell this. Like maybe this would be useful for, especially for video editors. Like if they just want good sounding dialogue, you know, they've cleaned it up a little bit and maybe they've edited the way I edit and it's like actually sounds clean, but they just need that polished mixed sound without a lot of plugins, then like this would be great for them. But is it okay for it to be CPU hungry if it sounds good? To me, yes. And I can dig back into the DSP and see if there's some efficiencies. But because of the signal flow and the way stuff is going through each of these modules, and it's actually, I don't want to give too much away, but it's actually round tripping. Let's call it that. It's round tripping some stuff. I'm pretty sure that's where the CPU hungriness is coming from. And then the limiter stage. I did have my buddy Sean ask if I could do a bypass for the limiter stage because he wanted to use his own limiter. that would probably free up a little bit. So I can test that. But again, I just wanted something I could slap on a bus and have everything in one plugin, and it sounds good, you know? So to me, check that off the list. I got that done. And then all the code signing and Avid and Pace and all that stuff, like I've dealt with all that. That was interesting to figure out. Licensing, I haven't really done. Oh, somebody's asking about latency. Well, we can test the latency. So what I'll do is I will go input mode. Let me grab a microphone. Ooh, don't tip it over. I'll grab a microphone and you guys can kind of hear, you'll be able to hear my voice on the, but it's going to go through, yeah, it's going to go through the computer because I have my lav mic into my computer. So let me see. I'm just going to go input. Let's look at this. So check 1 2 check. I can't quite hear what you guys are hearing, but there should be a little bit of latency now. Let me see also what I have my playback engine set to. Yeah, it's only 256 samples, so. So yeah, I've tested this and kind of done input enable stuff and checked out like if I could record through this, and I could. There's probably 10 to 15 milliseconds when I listen. Obviously the stream's going to be a little different because I'm running the lav through my camera, and the camera has a little processing delay on it because HDMI output. But yeah, you could track through it, I guess, if you wanted to. I don't generally like to do that because I don't know. I just like stuff to be clean when I track so I can hear stuff. So yeah. Okay, we got other questions here. Let's go ahead and look at them. Okay. The latest release of the plugin is for PC2. Javier is asking that. So I developed this on a Mac, and I'm able to, I understand the process of code signing on Mac now and building the PKG installer and all that stuff. That was really fun to learn. The PC side, I might just do a ghetto installer, like drag the VST, drag the AAX to your plugins, and you'll probably have to deal with Windows saying, I don't trust this. But it took me so long to, I mean, in context, it really didn't take that long, but like learning how to build stuff using terminal commands took a while. So I don't know that I want to go down that road on PC. The other thing is licensing. I haven't quite figured out how to do a foolproof licenser for this that won't incur some support problems, like where I'm having to troubleshoot servers and, hey, I couldn't activate this. So part of me, and I'd love to get your guys' input on this, part of me is saying, just do the honor system, sell it for a low price, like $30, and say, if you like this is useful to you, pay me the $30, and you get the installer. Eventually it's going to get not even cracked, it'll just get shared, and people will not be paying for a license for, if I don't license it, they won't be paying for the plugin because like you can just install it no matter what. So that's one side. I could go no license, honor system, pay, get the download. If you share it, whatever, it's fine. The other side is spend money on developing a license system that I can manage, that's not Pace, that's not iLock, and burn it into the code and deal with generating licenses on a server or on my website. And like, that's a lot of overhead. And I like to go do stuff. I like to go camping. I don't want to be watching my phone all the time for emails. Oh, I can't get this to license. So love to get your input on that. No license or yes license. And then pricing too. What kind of price would you guys, and don't say $1 because that's too low, but like, what do you think is a fair price for this? Not what you'd be willing to pay, but what is a fair price for this? Keeping in mind, I developed this by myself. I don't have a team I'm paying. This is like roll your own. It works really good. It's pretty stable. I've tested it at 96K, and it eats that up, no problem. So what's the fair price for a plugin like this? To me, it feels like 30, 35, 40, maybe 50 bucks. Somebody told me $100, and it's like, I don't know, man. It's kind of ghetto looking, and is it really worth $100? I don't think so. It's got a freaking bus in the background. So to me, this is like it's my first plugin. You know, I've never done this before. The only coding experience I have is I've written some HTML in like the 12th grade. So that's it. So yeah, that's kind of an overview of the plugin, and give me your input on what you think as far as licensing, pricing, features. I don't want to add too many features because it's already got 12 controls, and this is a lot to look at for me. So yeah. Yeah, and Post Audio says, I wouldn't cry at 50 bucks. For licensing, yeah, my website is hosted on WordPress. The issue is, so you have to integrate, let's say you generate a license, either a hash or something on a server. So the user then has to download or copy that. And then you have to go to the plugin and say, you know, type in your code and stuff. And I haven't quite figured out how I would do that because of the language I use to script this. This isn't scripted in C++. So I have a couple more days of learning probably to figure that out, which is good because I've got time. I've got, I don't know how many people testing this right now, a small handful of close friends testing this. And I need to wait for their feedback to make sure if it's good. I mean, I've got the installer built. So I could sell like a beta version of this for like $5 on my site just to get more people to test it. But yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at. And I say this is the ultimate dialog bus plugin because to my knowledge, there isn't currently a channel strip that's meant to be on your bus or aux that is focused on dialogue. Like the channel strip in Pro Tools is great. I love it. I use it all the time. I'll show you what that looks like. Where is it? Is it in Dynamics? No, it's just called Channel Strip. That's right. It's not Pro Channel Strip. It's just Channel Strip. This is great. I love this Channel Strip. And you can go negative on the ratio. That's cool. I love this Avid Channel Strip. It looks gorgeous and it's really useful. The compressor is fine, you know. It doesn't have a limiter at the end of the chain. And the other thing it doesn't have is, I suppose it doesn't have a de-esser is another thing. And the compressor is just a standard, you know, peak compressor. It's not an RMS compressor. So I saw this and I was like, I like this, but I'd like it to be just focused on dialogue. And I mean, there's a Harrison, I think Harrison has one, but that thing's like $1,000. So I really want mine to be accessible for not only you guys, the working professionals, but also what I see as the future of kind of the production side, which is content creators, which begrudgingly includes me, people who make YouTube videos. So let's just open this in, I'll open up OBS. I haven't tested this in OBS, so we'll do this live and see if this, of course OBS always shuts down improperly. Let's see if this plugin loads in OBS. Oh my goodness. Oh, and it's automatically connecting to my phone. That's great. Filters. Well, let's just see what happens here. Should be, there it is. It loads. Oh my goodness. So that is unexpected behavior there, because it is up to 8 channels. This is a multi-channel plugin, so this is not good. I wonder why that's happening. So that's the VST. Open interface 1 active. Yeah, it's like and the interesting thing too is that output processing is completely disabled. So this is a great live test. There's no output. So I might need to make this into a like just a stereo plugin. But I really want to be able to use it in I mean I've tested it in Resolve already. Yeah, and then OBS Studio quit unexpectedly. So let's open up Resolve. Paul, my friend Paul, is helping me test this. And he's one of the ones that has noticed the CPU usage. So I'm going to dig into that and see if I can. I need to see like where that's happening. Okay, so let's, yeah, I don't care about that. Let's open up uncategorized DXB Channel Strip. Let's see if we get a similar issue in Resolve. So Resolve seems to be fine. Yeah, this is all fine. So it's just OBS, and OBS is kind of janky. So I don't know if that is really that big of a deal. Let's go ahead and add the AU version. Just kind of, might as well, I'm here, I might as well test it with you guys. Cool. So there's the AU on the left and the VST on the right. Let's go ahead and just mess up a bunch of stuff. Woo! You can probably hear that in my headphones. Okay, that's starting to get crunchy. So yeah, so that works in Resolve just fine. I've tested this in GarageBand. So yeah, seems to work good. And like I said, I'm going to kind of wait on results from testing to come back in. So that's it. I don't know what else to tell. Do you guys want to see what it does to pink noise? We could check that out if you want. Kind of an inside look at what the, I don't know if you guys need to hear it. Probably just look at it. So I'm generating pink noise with the signal generator in Pro Tools. I will have Insight 2 up here. So we can look at the, not that, this guy. Gosh. Okay, so we can see the spectrum here. And let's open her up and kind of start messing with things. So we'll just start with the factory default. So factory default frequency response is pretty flat. As you raise the high pass frequency, you can see the slope is so gentle, you know, like it is reducing. It's at 250 right now. So at 250, it's reducing a tiny bit, but it's not, you know, it's, let me see if I can actually, is there a different metering plugin I could use? No. Master meter, multi-band splitter, probably not. Oh, we could just look at Pro Q3. Duh. And this is nice because it actually has more of a resolution down here. So this is great. You can actually see really nicely what the filter is doing. So let's roll this filter back down. And bypass. You know, it's full range. It still has the tilt shift. I think it's because the way I have, or maybe it's just the way this is. So if we unbypass it, you can see it just really smoothly rolls that off. It's not a harsh cut. This is a Butterworth filter with like a super smooth transition. Same with the low pass. Like if you want that early or mid 90s, you know, mid to late 90s dialogue sound, this is how you do it. This is the def mixer dialogue EQ. Not quite def, like it's not a hard cut at 10K. And then the threshold, we can bring this down and kind of flatten things out a little bit. the DS amount, I'll show you the filter kind of shape, how, so with the threshold up, let's say -6, and we turn the DS amount all the way up. See, it starts to come down a little bit, and now it starts to come down more. So you see how, just keep your eye on this section right here. Actually, can I zoom in on this? I don't think I can. There's probably a way to zoom in on frequencies. Oh, is it this? Nope, that's not it. I feel like there was a way to change this setting. Oh, there we go. Okay, so I can drag that. Can I zoom in on it? Yeah, I can. Okay, good. We'll zoom in on like 3K to 10K. Okay, so as you can see, I'll set my DS frequency to 6. That's fine. And then if I bring the DS amount down to 0, it's a wide Q, low Q DS amount. Like it's just shelving this down dynamically. But as I lower the threshold, you'll see it start to notch out. Like that. So this is great for like those sharp S's where it's like, you know, just like ear pick, ice pick in your ear. So you can use the threshold to either go super mild to like a little more sharp to like completely notching it out. Some actors just have that super annoying kind of resonant S. And then if you bring the amount back up, it's really nice how it kind of blooms into this like gentle slope. So I tried to make it logical so that you know, it wasn't too, like the settings make sense, but they're not, it doesn't give you like 50 parameters to adjust. And there's some interesting interactions here. So yeah, that's a good kind of signal flow. And oh, the high frequency gain, I didn't do this yet. So one of my favorite tricks is to lower the low pass and then boost the shelf. This gives you like the clarity and the crispness without as much of the gross nasties up here. And you can like go pretty low with it and just, you know, boost the crap out of the highs. So yeah, I think that's a pretty good overview of the, you know, what it does to pink noise, which is on this, again, I really want people to use their ears. Okay. Let's see. Can you automate the plugin? Yeah, it automates fine. Let's do like the high frequency gain. These are all great questions, by the way. I'll bring it up. Mic check 1 2, microphone testing. This is an audio test of the DXB Channel Strip. This is a dialogue-focused channel strip with basic EQ, RMS compressor, de-esser, and a safety limiter chain. This is a test. Unique, New York. Cool. So yeah, automate's fine. If there's any other questions, I would be super glad to answer them. If you guys want to help test this, I would say join the channel as a member. I know I shill that worse than Billy Mays every video, but the channel members are really the ones that are making it to where I can do stuff like this, because otherwise my ass would be laying bricks right now, or doing concrete or roofing. So if you want to help test this, make sure you're a channel member. Go to the Discord. There's a plugin dev section, and you'll find a download right there. It's to a PKG file. The PKG file has been signed and notarized, so you shouldn't get any "who's this developer" when you you know, install it. There's a README file that talks about kind of how stuff works, and yeah, I have like up to like 12 people, I think 12 to 15 maybe, I feel like is a good number of testers. I've actually done quite a bit of product development, and you can have too many testers and you get too much information and it just doesn't work. So that's why, like, I'm going to kind of keep this a little bit guarded and exclusive. So channel members, you guys have invested the $2 a month to help me do this. You guys get first crack at this. So if you're already a channel member and you haven't downloaded the installer and you want to, get in there, and yeah, so it should work great. I think that's all I wanted to talk about on this stream. It's pretty short. So, yeah, that's it. If you guys have any other questions, please just let me know. Let me see if there's any other. Master Nelson says audio is popping in and out. That is probably the stream. Will it work on stereo channels? Yes, it'll work on stereo 5.1 up to 7.1. And let's see. Michael Weinstein asked what exactly Paul's referring to. Paul said that the plugin's doing something under the hood that just makes dialogue sounds like what we hear in the movies. So, a couple things. The filters, the slope on the filters, these are like pretty close to what an analog EQ would do on like a channel strip on like a Harrison MPC or a Neve DFC. So that's one thing. The compressor, though, is really where the magic is happening, because it's not a standard peak compressor. It's a RMS. It's not quite an RMS compressor. It's kind of like a hybrid. So it will smack down the peaks, but it does more of just like signal fattening. And that's why, like, when I threw this on a drum, composite drum track, you know, all the mix of the drums, it sounded nice. It was like Beastie Boys, like slapping you in the face. So yeah, it's this, and then kind of the way things feed into each other, and the doubling back through something which I don't want to give too much away on, and then the limiters at the end. You know, that stuff is all, that's great. So another question. So what would it take you to do a Windows version? I have a Windows version. So I would probably, I'll probably sell the Windows version for cheaper, because I don't think I want to do an installer for it. I think I just want to have people, like, okay, this is a good question for you, Mr. Banana. If I sent you a VST3 file, would you know where to put it? Or an AAX file. If I sent you those files, would you know where to place them on your drive to use these in Pro Tools or yeah, I guess, I'd have to figure out how to do the paste thing. That would be tough. I'd have to figure out how to do the paste thing for the PC version. I need to think more about that. Yeah, because the AAX wouldn't work, and I don't think I can. I think I have to do that on a PC, which I kind of have a PC, but it's in a bunch of pieces right now. So yeah. I'll think about that. Will you add reverb in the future? Paul is asking. I don't think so. This is already pretty hungry. As you have mentioned, Mr. Cruz, this is a hungry hippo. This is a plugin that just chomps stuff. So I don't know, man. That seems like adding more would be bad. Okay, in DaVinci Resolve. So yeah, so you would use the VST3. So you probably would figure out where to throw the VST3 file. Mike says, I've seen some companies that just send just the AAX VST3 AU files, include shortcuts to the correct folders. So yes, but you have to build that on a PC. And I don't know that I want to put my PC together and figure out all that stuff, and then figure out how to code sign, and you have to pay a license to code sign. Like, that side of it is actually pretty easy. For somebody who hasn't done any coding before, I was able to figure that out with the help of forums and stuff for Mac. For PC, I'd have to spend another day or two. And the downside with PC too is those guys are, and I don't want to be judgmental here, but pirates. PC stuff gets pirated like instantly. So there's that side of it too. The Mac stuff, yeah, people will pirate it, but Mac users tend to be more willing to support software creators and be a little more like, I'm not going to get a cracked version of this. That's coming from somebody who is a hardcore PC user. So I did my share of piracy, and this is back in the day of LimeWire, and Mozilla, I think. No, Mozilla's a browser. What was the other one? Something Donkey. There was a Donkey one too. Anyways, yeah. So PC version, maybe a lot of creators for video stuff are on Macs. So that's why I was like, let me get the Mac version of this done first. Okay. Let's see. Yes. Paul Cruz asked, what does DXB stand for? Is dialog bus, but I also wanted it to be maybe dialog Boykin, DXB. So I just left it at DXB. Alexander asks, is there any reason you wouldn't license through iLok? There's a few reasons why I wouldn't want to license through iLok. One is it's very expensive. And I built this myself. I've invested maybe $100 in like the tools and stuff. So pretty low investment. Once you license through Pace and iLok, that investment becomes very prodigious. And I won't say the actual number, but it's quite expensive. And for a low volume seller like me, who's probably going to sell this on my website and not going to have it be on Sweetwater and stuff like that, I don't think I would definitely lose money because, you know, how many sales am I going to get of this? Not very many. So, yeah. So that's why I'm thinking I just won't have a license maybe. Like it's kind of the honor system. I might even do a pay what you can, you know, like $20 to $50 a range. So if you want me to make more plugins, which I have another idea that is going to be much more difficult, but also probably more useful, then, you know, pay more and support that. And then it's helping me spend time on that. So yeah. And Paul says, iLok will limit users. Yeah. 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 And that's the other thing is people who are cutting in Premiere or DaVinci, they don't want to buy an iLok, or if they do the iLok Cloud, they don't want to install a license, you know, system on their computer. They just want download, install, get up and running. So yeah. Okay. Good question though. Yeah, I mean, these are all great. You guys have been so patient with me, not just on this stream, but on other streams where I've been a little more unfocused and harebrained. So thank you guys for that. I think if there's any last questions, go ahead and drop them in the chat. Otherwise, I'm probably going to sign off here and dig back into this. I've got time. I have no work. That's one of the reasons why I made this. I have no work right now. The industry has slowed to just a trickle, and I have to figure out a way to support my family unless I want to go get a job and you know, which I could do. I've started to think a little bit about that. But to me, the plugins, like if I can figure this stuff out and make tools for people to use in their journey, then that's a way I can continue to sort of do what I love, but also help other people do what they love. So yeah, do let me know like pricing. I'm still kind of not sure on pricing, so just throw a number out: $10, $50, $2,000. Obviously not gonna be that high. Of what you'd pay for this, keeping in mind dialogue specific, channel strip, basic EQ section, smooth filters and a high boost, a full compressor section with automatable threshold ratio, makeup gain, attack release, and wet dry mix, a pretty adjustable and unique de-esser section with kind of an interesting interaction with the threshold and the Q, and then a safety limiter at the end. So what's the number? What do you want me to sell this for? You guys have kept this channel going, so I'm going to let you guys decide how much I sell this for on my website. And it'll probably be up on there available for sale, I would guess within a week, maybe 2 at the most. I'm not in a huge rush to get this out, but you know, I like to move on from stuff. I like to get it done and move on versus just tweak it to death. So we have one more question. What second plugin are you making? So that is way more unique. I've had this idea for about a year, and I don't want to give it away because it's pretty unique. But I will give you a hint. So, well, first of all, what's the hardest part of audio post to get an ear for? You know? Like, just think about it. What has been the hardest for you to train your ear to listen for, or train your brain to comprehend? And for me, what took me the longest to get was compression. So I've already focused quite a bit on compression for this, but just think about what is the hardest part of compression to understand. So that is what I'm conceptual. I've already conceptualized it, but the next project will be something that simplifies the most difficult part of compression to make something that is, one, very user-friendly, two, sounds excellent, and three, there's going to be some interesting there's going to be some interesting interactions with how this tool works that I'm going to build after this one's done that can be used creatively. So yeah, so I'll just leave it at that. So there's a plugin, went through everything, did some sound samples for you guys, tested it in, it didn't work in OBS, but I'm pretty sure that's because it's multi-channel. So I might have to make like a mono version of it for OBS. So I'll need to put that on my list to troubleshoot actually. OBS. Thank you guys so much for all your ideas. There's a couple more ideas in here. Put different colors for each section. That's a great idea. So thank you guys for tuning in. Really appreciate it. And I'm going to keep working on this. And yeah, big shout out to all the channel members that are supporting the YouTube channel. Also, web sales, like on my website, that is a huge help to me. So if you need Pro Tools templates, I've also got some DaVinci templates up there. Make sure you check that out. And I'm going to keep hacking on this. I've got, I think, a day or two before I work on my next film project. So I've got basically today to tweak this, and then that's it. A couple of questions we have. Do I have a Patreon? Nope, I don't. You can join the channel as a member. That's really the only thing I have for people to support that and like the website. So, and then Alexander says, do you have a company name for your plugins? My company name is 4LO Digital, 4LO Digital. That's also my website. It's a registered business in the state of Oregon, United States of America. So that's what's going to be, it's going to be, the code signing is a little different, but it should have that company information there. So yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. And like I said, if you're interested in testing this, either if you're a member, go to the plugin dev tab on the Discord. If you're not a member, you'll have to join as a member to get access to that. And I will get you an installer so you can help me shake out any bugs on this. And then hopefully within a week or two, I'll have this available to sell on my website. So thank you guys for tuning in. I will see you next time.